All right, here's a quick video on troubleshooting a Polaris Sportsman Scrambler 850 1000cc that may have stopped providing spark and fuel. Took quite a bit of troubleshooting on my part before I found out that in the end it was probably this $100 part called the crankshaft position sensor, which went bad. So if that goes bad, the new one is sitting right in there behind the fuel tank, and the harness connects somewhere up above the fuel tank, so you have to remove the fuel tank to actually get at it. You can test it with an ohms meter, and if you don't get an ohms reading, then it's likely dead. So without that working, you're not going to get fuel or spark into your cylinder head. And it just failed randomly. I drove it all day, and the next day it didn't start. But through that process, there were some other issues that probably led to that failure, which I'll cover very briefly. So as you can see, to get at the fuel tank, which is a bit annoying, you're going to have to take off all your plastics, at least on the front, and remove as much of the bolts for your footwell on the right side, so you can slide the tank out. Before we get into that, I'm just going to show you what another problem was that was found, and this would have just caused more problems in the end anyway. So where that red nipple is, there's usually a drain hose, and that's for the fuel or for the water pump. Now apparently, when I was going into water, and you can see how low that is, that's below the footwell, so it doesn't even qualify for the warranty, where you can take this thing up to the footwells in water. Anyways, obviously I'd gone deeper than that, but it was back filling into what this is here, which is the stator. It's back filling into the stator, and this thing was maybe 2 inches full of water, and then it would freeze during the winter as well. So the stator was on the way out. The water has no way to get out of there, so the stator was also in disrepair. So the Polaris dealer said just to put a plug on it. It's not required to drain out, and it's really just to let you know if your water pump is leaking. So in the end, the stator needed to be replaced. It was all rusted out in there from water, and it had been going on for quite some time, which probably led to the crankshaft position sensor failing due to water freezing and thawing. Probably eventually wrecked it. So there you go. If you're going to get at that stator and remove all that, then you have a seal to replace here and a water pump seal here. You might as well check your water pump while you're at it. You have to drain all your fluid through this hose here for the antifreeze. You might as well change your fluid as well, and there is usually a rock guard here, or a plate, so you'll take that off to get at it. So there you go. So it was the crankshaft position sensor that was causing no spark and fuel, but the stator was on the way out. The other thing people troubleshoot, which fail often on these, is the voltage regulator. Mine still seemed reasonable, but they do eventually fail, so I just replaced it all. About $700 Canadian in parts, with seals and stator and voltage rectifier, and then of course the crankshaft position sensor. All right, so real quick, once you get all the plastic off, you're gonna have a hose here for your fuel tank. You have to take the clamps off for that. And then there's just two bolts holding this tank on. So one there and then one on the other side. A little bit hard to get at, but not unreasonable. And then you're also going to have to just remove 2 bolts from your air box on either side. That just allows you to move up on the air box a little bit. The ECU here gets in the way a little bit when you try to pull the tank out, so you just got to pull it up a little bit to get at it. And one thing you'll notice is there's the harness for the ECU. It has like a ratchet strap type mechanism, and the fuel tank will grab that and open it. So make sure that it's not left open or broken, because nothing's going to work if that's left open. I found mine was open. Other than that, this thing will slip out pretty easily. You'll have to jimmy it a little bit underneath the frame and stuff, but it pulls out from, this is the opposite side that it'll pull out on. Just make sure you pull a few inches and check that it's not grabbing any wires and hoses on the way out, because it will. Pretty quick clip there for your fuel hose, pressurized right there. You just pull those back, it pops out, and then one little wiring harness is it. And the whole tank slides out, and then you have access to the CPS and the stator. This hose here and everything will pull out with it when you remove the stator cover. And you'll probably find that there's water in there, because it seems a common issue. But in the end, I think everything still worked. It was still working. It was going to all fail eventually, but the CPS was really what failed for spark and fuel. So the fuel cylinder, or the cylinders, were dry and no spark. So a bit of a headache to start, but really that seems to be the main culprit if you're not getting anything into the cylinder. That, or it could be the ECU or a broken connection. There you go. One other thing I didn't mention is you can do an ohms test on the stator here. It's pretty easy to get at. And as per the manual, it'll give you an ohms resistance. Also, what I happened to mine was, because the water was in there and it had frozen, that it was grounding. So when you put a diode to one of the couplings in this harness and then to the engine, you'll see that it'll create a connection, and that's a good indication you have water in the stator housing.